So, it's been a while since I've done a weapons tier list, but luckily for me, Season 10 of Apex has emerged with the brand new Rampage LMG, perfect for some of that juicy content. So, with the new weapon and a couple of changes with some of the others, here I present you guys the new Apex Legends Season 10 weapons tier list. Quick reminder, this is for Battle Royale and not for Arenas, but if you guys want one for Arenas, I'll try to release one for Season 11 if this video gets 100 likes. Before we start this video, there's a short recap at the end, so you guys won't have to watch this entire video to get the idea of my tier list, but I do encourage you guys to watch through most of the parts. The timestamp for the recap will be shown in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys subscribe to my channel so I can achieve 300 subscribers and potentially one step closer to 1,000. So enough talking, and let's get straight into this. D tier. These weapons are usually used on drop for a short period of time and are mostly traded out for better weapons throughout the game. The first and only weapon in D tier is the P2020. Although the damage has been increased back in Season 9 due to the absence of the hammer point rounds, the P2020 still stands at a weak spot because of its weak fire rate and damage. The P2020 was a much stronger weapon with hammer points in my opinion, and will stay as a lower tier weapon without it. Still, it's an okay weapon to use when you drop in and try to fight for the early kills. C tier. These guns slightly outclass the D tier weapons, but are still weak picks for you and your team. Sitting on the bottom of C tier is Mozambique. The reason why I put this gun higher than the P2020 is because of all the small bullets added to it throughout the different seasons. This 4-shot shotgun pistol became a 6-shot with increased DPS and a narrow blast pattern. When it comes up close to battles, it performed as much or even slightly better than the Wingman, but that's only in fights really up close. Obviously the Wingman's a stronger gun overall. Although hammer points was removed, the weapon is still a decent pick in close early fights. Last in C tier is the 3030 repeater. As the newest gun brought back in Apex Legends Season 8, I feel as if the gun is still pretty weak. I know, this gun slaps one up close with Shattercap rounds, but I judge the weapon by the purity without these op-ups. The fire rate I feel is still too low, which could be changed, and is definitely outclassed by weapons like the G7 Scout. Other than that, though, it's still a solid weapon to use and could be used during longer ranged battles. The next tier is B tier. These weapons are strong in some situations, but stand as weapons not oftenly used. The first weapon in B tier is the RE45. The RE45 is a great automatic pistol and stands very strong in early game fights, but of course, the RE45 isn't the best automatic gun, as it's greatly outclassed by the SMGs now, especially with the comeback with the Prowler. It's a fun weapon to use from time to time, but isn't preferably used as your main weapon throughout the fights. The next weapon is the longbow. Overall, snipers aren't really the meta of Apex Legends, as people will mostly use weapons for mid-range to close range. Currently, the longbow is probably the weakest sniper, as its fire rate still feels pretty underwhelming. Overall, it is a strong sniper too, but it is somewhat outclassed by the other snipers. The Devotion stands next after the longbow in B tier. Of course, guys, with the turbocharger, this gun alongside the Havoc is an absolute beast and shreds during battles close and mid-range. But without it, it's kinda meh. The slow charge up time seems to mess up your recoil and gives your enemies the chance to get there first and potentially the crucial winning shots toward you in battle. It's very hard to control, therefore limiting your movement, but when someone gives you the perfect line of sight, the Devotion stands very powerful, potentially downing your opponent in seconds. Next to the Devotion is its brother, the Havoc rifle. The Havoc is, in my opinion, is more smoother than the Devotion with a slightly more controllable recoil. Still, the charge up rate stands pretty problematic as other assault rifles stand as a better pick. After the Havoc is surprisingly the Mastiff shotgun. Back in its previous seasons, the Mastiff was an S tier pick with a great fire rate and DPS. Up close, it could 3-tap enemies when used correctly, but of course, Respawn flies into the rescue. The pellet spread was increased, damage decreased, and slower fire rate did downright bad for the Mastiff. Next to all of that, the PK coming back in Season 9, out of the 3 main shotguns in Apex, the Mastiff definitely stands at the bottom. Close to the top of the B tier is Sentinel. The Sentinel is an enjoyable weapon to use as its butter smooth shots make you feel like you're shooting a baby Kraber, when charging it giving you the opportunity to one-tap your enemy shields. But overall, this weapon can still seem underwhelming from time to time, as I would prefer the bow check over it during mid to long range battles. All in all, it's still a great weapon to use and that you shouldn't shy away from it. On top of the B tier is the Hemlock. With the new update, the Hemlock has received a brand new hop-up, therefore speeding up the reload time for the weapon. The Hemlock would be an A tier weapon if the recoil is more controllable and if the iron sight is changed, because right now, it's pretty bad. Other than that, its DPS in burst or single fire can really pack a punch, making it a reliable weapon. The next set of weapons in this tier list are the A tier weapons. These weapons are used a lot during Battle Royale and stand slightly below the best weapons in the game. Other than that, these weapons are great picks for you and your team. The first weapon in A tier is personally one of my favorite snipers next to the Kraber. This is the charge rifle. The charge rifle obviously is nothing compared to the powerful Kraber, but is an enjoyable weapon to use as its hit scan capabilities help the sniper a lot during both close and long range. With the potential to deal slightly more damage than the longbow or sentinel, the charge rifle currently stands as one of the strongest. The next weapon after the charge rifle is the L-Star. With one of the biggest changes in Season 10, the L-Star has now a barrel stabilizer, meaning that its shots are now much more controllable. Really, this was one of my favorite changes, as its messy shots were one of the sole reasons why the L-Star stayed in the lower tiers. Now I see the L-Star being used for mid-range battles also. Now the L-Star can be used for mid-range battles too. Another reason why the L-Star is in this tier is because of its DPS. If I get in proper range, the L-Star does a great deal of damage, making it really strong against other players. Next, after the L-Star is the Peacekeeper. Is one of the stronger shotguns, the PK packs in a lot of punch with its ability to charge its shots, potentially single-shotting an enemy shields. Its fire rate is acceptable, but not as strong as the EVA 8s. I feel as if the PK is dependent on the shotgun bolt than other shotguns in the arsenal. Still, the Peacekeeper is still a strong shotgun, but requires a lot more skill to be used to the best of its abilities. After the PK is the Prowler SMG. Finally, after 4 seasons of unnecessary time in the care package, the devs have decided to add it back to the normal loot pool. Thank God. With select fire removed though, the Prowler can now only use its burst capabilities instead of its auto fire. But the Prowler is still very strong without him. After all, people did confirm that it had more DPS than the auto. Although there are more stronger SMGs, the Prowler still ends up as an all-time favorite and will be used a lot in the new seasons. Next in A tier is the Flatline. The Flatline comes out to still be a strong AR next to weapons like the R3. The damage and controllable recoil makes the gun more usable than some of the others and can shred pretty well if you hit those juicy headshots. There are not much other things I have to say other than the fact that the Flatline seems to be in the right spot in my opinion. Next in line is the G7 Scout. The G7 Scout is one of the best mid-range weapons in the game. The perfect fire rate and the damage per shot makes the gun balanced even though it isn't either strong or too weak. Although the iron sights are kinda crap, combined with an H-Cock makes it almost perfect. So when you guys are looking for a great mid to long range weapon, you should try picking one of these up. Coming in as one of the newest members of the Apex Legends arsenal is the brand new Rampage LMG. Like the Bocek bow back in Season 9, I feel as if the Rampage LMG is kind of overpowered. Although the fire rate on this gun is slower than the other LMGs, its DPS is insane, not to mention its power after adding a thermite grenade to it. I can only imagine the amount of fuses stacking up thermite grenades specifically for the Rampage. Now this decision may be pretty controversial for everyone watching this video, so I hope you guys don't give me too much hate for it. On top of A tier are 2 guns that are actually tied, the Bocek bow and the Wingman. Before anyone says anything about it, here's my opinion on why. The Bocek bow, even with its small damage nerf, is still a very powerful mid to long range weapon. In some situations, the bow may be even better than the Wingman in mid to far range battles, even with the Wingman's faster fire rate. But the Wingman stands superior in close mid-range battles as its DPS and fire rate helps much better in those types of battles instead of more further range battles for the Bocek. Overall, they are both balanced in terms of strength and weaknesses and both stand as outstanding weapons. The last tier in this tier list is S tier. These weapons are strongly recommended to have and help a great ton in your favor. Sitting on the bottom of S tier is the EVA 8 shotgun. Even with the small fire rate nerf during Season 10, the EVA 8 shotgun is still the strongest of them all. Its fast fire rate with high damage grants a great deal against your enemies. The pellet spread isn't wide like the Mastiffs, but is focused enough so you'll expect most of the shotgun pellets to hit. If you're not good enough with the EVA 8, it's worth getting practice with it, as it will give you the upper hand advantage in most fights. The next weapon after the EVA 8 is the R9. Like always, the R99 still claims the title as one of the strongest weapons in the game. Although this SMG is outclassed by one other, its ammo capacity, controllable fire, and fast fire rate gives you the smooth spray close range, potentially downing your enemies in seconds. So if you ever come across the Fierce R9, don't be afraid to pick it up. Now, the SMG slightly surpassing the R99 is the Season 6 Volt SMG. The reason why the Volt surpasses the R9 is because of its ability to efficiently fight battles in both mid to close range fights. And when I say mid, I don't mean that far, I mean at least far enough so that SMGs can deal a decent amount of damage. The Volt's recoil and controllable fire rate makes it easier to maintain compared to the R9. But in your opinion, which one's really the best? Now currently, the strongest weapon on top of the S tier is the R301 carbine. The R3 is butter smooth in both close to mid-range fights, can consistently hit your enemies with this controllable fire. When combined with an extended mag, the R3 can easily crack most body shields with a single magazine. The R3 is overall the strongest assault rifle in the game and is a must pick for Battle Royale. So here is a recap for this tier list. D tier, P2020, C tier, Mozambique 3030 repeater, B tier, RA45, Longbow, Devotion, Havoc, Mastiff, Sentinel, Hemlock. A tier, Charge Rifle, L-Star, PK, Prowler, Flatline, G7 Scout, Rampage LMG, Wingman, Bocek. S tier, EVA 8, R9, Volt, and R301. Congratulations, you guys had made it to the end of the video. So that tier list was my opinion for where I think all the weapons should be in the Season 10 of Apex Legends. If you guys disagreed or agree with anything in my tier list, make sure to leave it down in the comment section down below. I would just appreciate it that you guys don't make the comment section into an entire battlefield. I prefer to look at my YouTube studio without any notice about sus comments. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It will mean the world to me if I reach 300 subscribers and help a lot for my road to 1,000. So I hope you guys have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.